Good morning, students. In this PPT, we would be talking about state intervention. So this topic has already been dealt in detail in class, but today we'll be doing a quick revision of this topic. Now, student, when we talk about intervention, I told you under international law, intervention is prohibited, and you have no right to intervene into any affair or with respect to any matter of other country. Why? Because every state or every country is sovereign, and it is not sovereign internally, but it is also sovereign externally. And this the two kinds of sovereignty, that is external and internal sovereignty, we've already dealt earlier. So now you know that every state is sovereign internally and externally, and nobody has right to interfere into their matter or intervene into their matter. So state intervention is prohibited, but yes, there are certain interventions which are valid, on certain grounds which are mentioned in UN Charter. So now we'll be doing a state intervention first. What is the meaning? What are the kinds of intervention? Then we will move on to the grounds for valid intervention. Now, students, if we talk about intervention, intervention terms of international law is the term for the use of force by one country or sovereign state in the external and internal affairs of another. Now, this is violation of state sovereignty, right? So, if anything that is against this state sovereignty should not be valid. But yes, intervention is valid on certain ground, which we will be studying later on. Intervention is considered to be an unlawful act, but some intervention may be considered lawful. Intervention is dictatorial interference by a state in the affairs of another state for the purpose of maintaining or altering the actual condition of things. But also when we talk about this, we know that just giving friendly advice and general political influences do not come under the requisites of intervention. And interference must take an imperative form. It should be number one, forcible, and number two, backed by threat or force. So there are two essential of intervention. The first essential is that it should be foreseeable, and second, it should be backed by the threat of force. Any of these two is present, it is state intervention. So now you're understanding, I'm repeating it again. Intervention in term of international law is when one country or one sovereign country uses force in to change the actual condition present in the other sovereign country. It may be internal or external affairs of that country. There are two requisites that are specified for state intervention. If either of them is available, then it is intervention. Number one is that the interference must be forcible, and number two is that intervention must be backed by threat of force. Now, what is the meaning of state intervention? Oppenheim has defined intervention as a foreseeable or dictatorial interference by a state in the affairs of another state calculated to impose certain conduct or consequences on that state. Clear? That means that it is an dictatorial or forcible interference. Where is this interference done by the country? In the affairs of another sovereign state. What is the aim of doing it? To impose certain conduct or consequences on that other state. So in general, state do not like intervention of another state in the internal affairs unless it is an exceptional situation. These exceptional situation we would be talking about maybe after 2 slides. And there are many examples in which state used to move to United Nations organization from blocking other interfering states. So this is all about intervention, the meaning, definition, and all the essentials. Now we would be talking about certain provisions in the UN Charter. Now, when we talk, students, when we talk about provisions in UN Charter, you know that every country has given part of its sovereignty so that UN Charter can be a successful charter. Now, countries are, they do adhere to whatever is written in the UN Charter. Now, Article 2 of UN Charter provides prohibition or prohibits prohibition intervention on the part of individual state when it ordains the member to refrain in the international relation from number one, threat, use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. So you're understanding, the charter has explicitly in its provision refrain from use of threat or force against the territorial integrity of any independent state. Now, international law, however, permits intervention as dictatorial interference by one state in the affairs of another state when only as reaction or former against violation of its right by the later. And when one country is violating the right of another country, then the country has right to interfere in the territorial integrity of that country. But this doctrine is possible only if that country recognizes the bellum justum principle, that is right to go to war. Plus it is not only going right to go to war but also right conduct in the war. So this is bellum justum principle. Now, student, there are three different kinds of intervention, which are internal, external, and punitive. Now, when we talk about internal interference or intervention, it is the interference by one state between the disputing section of the community in another state, either for protection of legitimate government or the insurgent. Like, for example, in the year 1936, number of states intervened in the civil war of Spain. So when the countries intervene into the civil war of Spain, that was, they're interfering in the internal matter, but that intervention may be correct if it is on any of the grounds mentioned in the UN Charter. But that time UN Charter was not there. But if today we have to discuss the situation, we have to understand that whether this would fall under any of the grounds for intervention under UN Charter or not. External intervention. So students, it is the intervention by one state in the relation of another state, generally of the hostile relation of the other state. That is, an intervention in the foreign affairs of another state. And such intervention being directed against the hostile relation of such state. So this kind of intervention is tantamount to the declaration of war. For example, the entry of Italy in the Second World War, siding Germany against Great Britain, provided an example of external intervention. Now, punitive intervention. Now, what does punitive mean? Punitive means inflicting or intended as punishment, something you are doing or inflicting, as a punishment. So it is punitive intervention is a punitive measure falling short of war and is in the nature of, some injury which is suffered at the hands of another state. And you have to, uh, just, reprisal of an injury which is suffered by your state from because of another state. So this is, you are again, you want to inflict punishment on that state. So this is punitive intervention. Now it is frequently carried out by stronger nation towards weaker nation. For example, a pacific blockade. Pacific blockade, what it is, we've already studied. A pacific blockade to compel the observance of treaty engagement or to redress some breach of law, or is an intervention of, is an example of or illustration of punitive intervention. So internal, you are intervening into the internal affairs of that country. That means, for example, in 1936, number of states intervened in civil war of Spain. External, as I told you, when you are intervening into the external affair of that country. I told you the example is the entry of Italy in the Second World War, siding with Germany against Great Britain. Punitive, when we talk about punitive, for example, the pacific blockade by one country to another country, so that the other country observes the treaty engagements. So this is punitive intervention. It is inflicting or intended as punishment. Now, what are the grounds for valid intervention? When can intervention be valid? Chapter 7, Article 51 of United Nations Charter recognizes some ground as valid for intervention according to international law. Now, when we are talking about intervention, one thing that you need to know is that when these interventions are valid on the following ground, which are given here, like for example, self-defense and humanitarian grounds or other grounds, we need to know that right authority, right intention, reasonable hope, proportionality, and last resort should be kept into mind. Who is intervening? That authority should be the right authority. It should intervene with the right intention, with reasonable hope, with proportionality. For example, if a person slaps you and you murder him, this is not proportional. So proportionality is also important, and intervention should be your last resort. So now if we talk about the grounds for intervention, the first ground that is self-defense. Now, the supreme interest of a state overrides the law, and right of self-preservation or self-defense is more sacred than duty of respecting the independence of other state. So, a state has right to interfere in the affairs of another state where the securities and immediate interests of the former are compromised. So, intervention, therefore, in order to ward off imminent danger to the intervening state, are justified by the force of circumstances. But here the danger must be direct, immediate, not contingent and remote. Then second is humanitarian grounds. Now, Lawrence observed that in the opinion of many writers, such interventions are legal, but they cannot be brought within the ordinary rules of international law, which does not impose on state the obligation of preventing, such interventions, on part of their. So, I mean, a humanitarian ground. For example, I told you the biggest violation of human right was in Rwanda. Now, many countries intervene into Rwanda to protect the people of that country, because that those people were subject to many crimes, genocide, a lot of crimes, crime against women. Everything was so much that time. So people were on grounds of humanity, they entered into Rwanda and took care of a lot of things that happened in Rwanda, and situation in Rwanda has got stabilized. So this is how humanitarian on humanitarian grounds intervention is valid. Then we talk about enforcement of treaty rights. Now, a state is justified in interfering in the affairs of another state if the provision of any treaty oblige the former to preserve the independence or neutrality of the later. Now, such intervention does not violate any right of independence, because the state that suffers has, right to do that or to interfere by treaty. Then intervention to prevent illegal intervention. When you are intervening, for an illegal purpose, then that intervention will always be correct. Then balance of power, the doctrine of necessity of balance of power, between the leading state as the basis of mutual protection dominated the international relations of the 19th century. So most of the intervention in the Balkan Peninsula should be regarded as an intervention in consonance with the policy of balance of power, and also intervention on the ground of prevention of the balance of prevention has been condemned by jurists of all the ages. Then for protection of person and their property, again, you can quote here Rwanda case, protection of person, property, and the interest of its national may provide justification for intervention. The necessity for protection may arise due to gross injustice or due to injury caused by unfair discrimination. Collective intervention. Now, collective intervention is very important. Collective intervention at the present time is in pursuance of the provision of UN Charter and the enforcement action under the authority of UNSC, that United Nations Security Council, in accordance with Chapter 7 of the Charter. So collective intervention, when all states collectively intervene into the affairs of another country. Intervention to maintain international law, when you know that there's some state who is violating international law continuously, so you can intervene so that that state who is violating international law may not do so. Then intervention in civil wars, I told you Spain. the civil war in Spain, countries intervened. So this is also one of the valid ground for intervention. Now, there are some other grounds also of intervention, like to protect, in the affairs of a protectorate under its dominion. What is a protectorate? Protectorate is an independent country that has special legal status. For example, Gibraltar, it is a protector of Britain. So, to protect the affairs of a protectorate, also intervention can be there. Then to protect the rights and interests and the personal safety of the citizens abroad, that is also one of the valid ground for intervention. Then I told you Article 51 talks about collective intervention, that is already there. So student, this was all about intervention, but there is one more thing that you should know, and that is intervention by invitation or on request. Now, when a state interferes or intervenes in the political affairs of another state by invitation or request, it cannot be considered as an unlawful act. Now, interference of a state can never be unlawful if it is, for the sake of humanity. It is necessary that the two states agree on the matter of intervention through a treaty. So a request for assistance is not unlawful at all. Also, here again, I would like you to write, when you're writing your answers, so please write about R2P doctrine, which was there when I was teaching you state sovereignty, and many times again I have taught this topic in class. Now, when we talk about sovereignty as responsibility, it is the sovereignty is not the responsibility of one state. It is the responsibility of the entire world community. Now, if there is one country A and is not able to protect its sovereignty, because protecting the sovereignty is its duty. Now, one state is unable to do that, then R2P doctrine comes into picture, which is right to protect, prevent, and right to, if you may remember, right to prevent, preserve, and protect. Now, these three P's should be there. If it is not there, then the other country would intervene. It would prevent, preserve, and protect the right of the other state. So this is sovereignty as responsibility. For example, again, I would quote Rwanda here. Whatever happened in Rwanda, the Tutsi community was the most affected one. They were prone to rape and other sexual violences as well. So the other and the Rwanda sovereign were unable to protect its people. So the other world community had to intervene and protect the people in Rwanda. This intervention is valid under international law. So student, this was all about state intervention. If you have any problem with respect to this, please feel free to contact me either through mail or WhatsApp group. Thank you.